let's talk about some spies. Let's talk about some espionage. Let's talk about slow horses. Coming up next on Popcorn for Dinner podcast, it is Slow Horses. Phenomenal podcasting by me, I must say. I'm not even going to lie. That was a great introduction.
I'm so confused.
Hi guys, we are back again.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been on this for a while. So this is my name's Jibs, and we are back speaking about Slow Horses season 4, and I am joined by my current guest who was on the actual last season, Chris. How's it going, Chris?
All good, thanks. Thanks for having me back.
Enjoying the lovely weather out?
Yeah, it's been proper nice lately. And we were just talking about the Olympics because while we're recording, it's on.
Yeah. So it's like it's got. So obviously we've got your undivided attention here. You're definitely not focusing on the Olympics, are you? And we are also joined by Ayisha, who is here to talk about spies and everything. Are you,
Hi,
Ayisha?
everyone.
How are you spending? Are you spending a lot of time outside? You're just chilling, just
Yeah. Average amounts.
Just average amounts. Well,
I don't know if I like being outside too much.
I can tell you, I really don't like being outside these days for obvious reasons. When this podcast comes out.
But yeah, the Olympic coverage is making me want to run a marathon. I think I'm going to run a marathon next year. I've decided now.
Do you know?
I'm really embarrassed I've said this on air because now I'm being held to it.
Exactly.
You've got.
I feel like if you've got like something. If you're working to prove people wrong or to prove a point, I think that's like that can be like a motivating factor. It's like, I've said it on record, so it just has to happen now. Do you know what I mean? But I will not want to be running a marathon, so I will leave you to that. I mean, keep the listeners
I think
updated.
I fell for the propaganda. Like everyone's always like, I want to run a marathon, and I thought, oh my gosh, why don't you just do anything else? And now I'm like, actually,
listen, it's either like you're starting a podcast or you're joining a running club. So if you're doing both, you're really busy, aren't you? So exactly.
Busy.
But yeah, guys, we will be speaking about Apple TV's second best, third best show.
Probably best now. Ted Lasso fell off a cliff, didn't it? So it's better.
Slow Horses,
exaggeration.
Obviously based on the book by Mick Hearn. Obviously, Chris, you're going to talk to us about the books. And Slow Horses. But obviously, before we get to the episode, I'd like to tell you guys about the amazing other content that we have coming out. Obviously, we're going to be covering Slow Horses.
And we'll be doing so every couple of weeks. So we'll be back after episode 4 and after the finale.
And we have a lot more other things coming up. I think we're going to be covering Trap.
Oh, very nice.
I think so. I'm not sure. I've just made some commitment about that. I'm not really sure, but we'll be covering.
So if you guys are covering Trap and I haven't been told, then there's some, first of all, under table dealings going on.
Some little Freudian slip. It's funny though because
I've been exempted from some conversations.
Frankly, will literally be like, "We're covering Trap." Oh, I wasn't aware of this, but there'll be a lot more content coming your ways, and anything that you feel that you might want us to cover or listen to, just like drop us a message, drop us a follow, rate, review, subscribe to all of our platforms, and let's go talk about spies.
Let's do it.
And we're back. We are so back, and actually, Ayisha, I'll probably start with you before we actually kind of delve into the episode. What's your introduction into spy and espionage?
Well, I don't know. When would it have started? I'm not sure. I've always liked, I would say, kind of loose espionage. I don't think I love I think I like Slow Horses, and I can't think of anything else at the moment now, but I always like when there's like a bit of espionage going on, even in other shows that are not espionage related. And then I heard about this show, and I was really excited by the fact that it was kind of a take on espionage that I hadn't seen before. These, people that were exiled from their role, and I like that, and I like the idea of it being kind of funny, watching them find their way back, or back into the fold, or even not try and just make their own little kind of army of exiles, which I found quite nice. So that's how I was introduced to it, and I fell in love with it. I think I binged the first season and proclaimed it was like the best on TV, and I still think it is the best on Apple TV. I think Drops of God maybe can fight it for me if you've watched Drops of God on Apple TV. But
not heard of that.
Yeah, no, it's I'm not talking about it now, but it's basically a show about wine. But basically, yeah, I went to it, but I have a recent obsession with John le Carre and his books, and I recently watched The Pigeon Tunnel when it came out. I don't know how good I can say that as a documentary is, but I would say as someone who only loosely read some of his stuff and maybe caught a few glimpses of scenes in his movies, I haven't really properly sat down. I was very interested to hear about his life. So I think that's kind of my entry point into it. I wouldn't say I'm a high action person, but espionage, yeah.
No, yeah, I think that's kind of the same for me as well. I think recently there was the Cambridge 5 story. I was quite obsessed with that story. And I think obviously context is during the Cold War, 5 higher class elite students from Cambridge literally were spying for the Soviet Union. And it was really, really, I think they actually exposed, because John le Carre was actually an agent for MI6, and because of the Cambridge spies, it was they literally blew his cover. So that's why I started writing. And yeah, that's kind of I think le Carre for me was kind of my entry as well to spy stuff. And yeah, Chris, I'll bring you in terms of it's probably the same for you as well. Or I think McCarran as well has said that le Carre was quite a big thing for him, and with these novels that he's writing, it's a modern take on, because most of the spy novels that we read are mostly Cold War stuff, aren't they?
Yes.
And this is kind of a modern take on the genre, isn't it?
It is, and the Slough House or whatever, the park feels like a kind of sequel to the Cambridge Circus that le Carre has, because it's not like James Bond where it's one guy and you don't see much of the actual organisation. You get all the desk jocks and pen paper pushers and stuff. So it's slightly different.
Yeah, but still...
Yeah, I think that's what I love, is seeing kind of the mechanics of things. Seeing how things work. You're sitting with people, not just one person, or not just maybe the head. I think in Slow Horses, you actually sit majority of people that are not kind of at the top of the ladder. It's mostly people kind of, in the ranks, which is nice.
And the dialogue is amazing, isn't it?
I feel
so good.
It's I think that's the kind of way I talk. I'd like to see people talk, so that's just kind of watching me as well. So
I don't think I've ever watched a show in a while that's so tight. Their scenes are all purposeful. And the characters are so well drawn that every character decision seems authentic to the actual character that they built up from when you met them. And every scene is directional, which I like. It's just...
You haven't watched Love Island?
Love Island.
Talking about kind of tight dialogue and development. You haven't watched what's going on?
I didn't watch Love Island this year though.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it in a while.
Love is Blind UK. That's
there we go.
Coming.
That's coming up. That's coming up. So obviously it's based on the book by McCarran, and Chris, I'll bring you back again because this is kind of where kind of the books come in. So this season, or is this based on one book, or should this be is this based on multiple books?
Each series is based on one book, I think. Let me have a look. I've got them all floating around. So we're up to book 4 now, and series 5 is already in development as well. So book 4 is covering, I think it's Spook Street, but they've all got quite similar names. So let me just get the list in front of me. I'll be able to tell you.
And I think these two, so I think season 3 and season 4 were filmed back to back?
Yes. So this would have filmed at the same time as Real Tigers, or maybe it's series 4 and 5. I think they were already doing some bits on series 5 as well.
Wow, just keep on rolling it out, man.
That's another thing that shows. They work so quickly, or they work. Do they work quickly, or is everyone working slowly?
I think it's because other shows working slowly, like House of the Dragon's not going to be back till 2026.
Oh,
and that's got the same number of.
They haven't get me started on that.
I've opened a can of worms there, sorry, but I think also because the actors in this are all, Gary Oldman, Jet Loudon, and Kristen Scott Thomas. They're all massive now, or they were before, whatever. And obviously Olivia Cook from House of the Dragon was in this.
She was
for like a second, wasn't she?
She might come back. But yeah, I think it's the availability that's made them shoot them in batch. They all seem to love it as well. Like, I think Gary Oldman said he'd semi-retire from films to just do this.
I was about to say that. He said that he would do it till he could.
And there's plenty more books and short stories and spin-offs for them to adapt. So it will be on for a while, I think.
I feel like acting nirvana is like if you've kind of got you're an accomplished actor and actress, right? And you kind of get to like a certain age, and it's like you just kind of find a role that you really enjoy doing. It's like Daniel Craig and is it Benoit?
Oh yeah. He loves doing that, doesn't he?
And it's like he just loves it, and it's like, I'm just gonna do it. Knives Out, Benoit LeBlanc, I think that's what his name is.
Yeah, that's right, Benoit.
Yeah, and it just keeps on doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. So I mean, why not, man? Why not?
I never had Gary Oldman doppelganger that lived near me.
Really?
Maybe it's him.
Maybe it's him.
No, I thought it was him. I was so sure it was him because for other reasons, but I was very, very sure it was him. And then I was about to go up to him, and then I realized it wasn't him because I asked somebody else, and then they were like, "Oh, it happens to this guy all the time." Apparently,
really?
That's a shame.
The dude's an author, so he's also cool. But I was so sure it was him, and I told my whole family about it already, so it's quite embarrassing. I can't tell them now that it's not him, so they still think that it's him.
Just have to ride with the lies. Actually,
because I just can't go back now.
It's I mean, imagine living next to this. You should have still asked him. I think that would have kind of like just inflated his ego a lot more. Anyway,
he still smiles at me all the time. He lives quite a bit. He smiles at me all the time. Like I might one day be like, hey, like this person, and then he was surprised by he'd be like, oh my gosh, that's my best friend. I know him so well. I can introduce you to him or something. That would be quite nice. But yeah, no.
Both episodes are directed by Adam Randall. I think he does a lot of like TV stuff as well. And the central. So let's kind of get into both episodes, right? Obviously, the first season, just like this massive shot of like rotisserie chicken, and it goes to Arnold Ho, who's like one of. I mean, what an amazing character! Just one of the rudest. And he thinks they're gonna have like a Christmas party. At a chicken shop.
Isn't it like after Christmas as well?
Yeah, it is after Christmas.
So, and it's kind of like
desperate for community. And
but the thing is like
he hides it by all this.
Yeah, he hides it by just being quite rude and nonchalant, doesn't he? But he's great.
He's
the actor's name, but he's Australian and he does.
Oh, I've interviewed him actually.
You have. Well,
Chris Chung.
Chris Chung, yeah.
Funnily enough, this is slightly off. It's still Slow Horses related. I bumped into Louisa at drinks. I was at at Christmas time last year. So the show was on, I think. She'd been in a play at the National Theatre, and I was in the BFI next door. And I was like, "Oh, damn! It's Louisa from Slow Horses." And I said to her, "Well, I'm a big fan of the show," and she thought I meant whatever theatre show she'd been in. She was like, "Oh, you mean Slow Horses?" And I was like, "Oh no." Because I feel like maybe she's
big fan as well of this one as well.
Yeah.
But you know what? She'll remember you now because of that interaction.
She was nice though.
She might say to like some interviewers or like Graham Norton or something. It's like, so this guy came up to me and it's like,
everyone always,
But it kind of sets up the premise for the entire show or for the entire season where a bomb goes off as Ho's eating his chicken outside and he's got like what song's he blasting? This is how we do it.
I don't know if that's the name of the song, but that's what he's listening to, isn't it?
I think
that's what I was listening to, and I'm kind of thinking like, so what kind of song because it completely just like takes him. Well, obviously, he's blasting out like high volumes, right? But also, it can just completely take you out of like you won't be aware of your surroundings. You're just kind of walking and you're just like jamming and eating your food.
Well,
I think.
Doesn't it depend though? Like, what sort of dissociation are you trying to have? Like, are you happy or are you just trying not to hear the bomb?
Well, he's eating chicken, so he's definitely not upset, do you know what I mean? And he's eating it like and just tossing it aside. So
he seemed pretty happy, didn't he?
He looks, he did.
He's like bouncing.
Seems happy. Yeah.
That's true.
I don't know.
I was thinking something like Zeppelin for me, or
Zeppelin, yeah,
something quite like, really, really loud and just like
disco.
takes me out of the moment.
Donna Summer.
Maybe that's a bit of disco. Yeah.
The best thing to have
Fall Out Boy
explosion would be in Fight Club when they have pixies.
Yeah.
That is and that works so well with
Where's My Mind? Is that the song that goes on?
That's on, yeah. And that works so well with the explosions. But
that would have been too on the nose if it happened here though. It's like an explosion in the background, yeah.
I'm thinking something with a bop, so some disco, hip hop, something like that.
Yeah. So we eventually find out that it's a suicide bomber, isn't it?
Yeah, suicide bomber.
By a guy called Robert Winters, and that's kind of like the premise for
this point. Do we know that he's Robert Winters?
Is that in the first or second episode?
In the first.
I think that comes out in the first one, doesn't it?
I think that comes out in the first episode as well, yeah.
Okay.
Because we eventually find out that kind of goes on to the next scene. We meet Tavernier, who is still second desk.
I know, shock.
Even though they got rid of Ingrid in the
they got Ingrid last season, so I was a bit confused.
Scene with a Macallan bottle.
All the scenes of those two together were so good.
It was so good,
so good, man. It was like a chess game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Because I thought like she was going to get, because she actually said that she wanted the big job. That's why she got rid of her. But you kind of get to the season, it's like she's still second desk, and they've got Mr. Claude Whelan, played by James Callis, as first desk now, who we assume is an outsider, doesn't really know like the workings. Is like he wasn't an ex-agent, so wasn't an ex-Joe. He's been brought in. He's more of like a kind of politician, bureaucrat kind of person. So he doesn't really know like
the big picture.
He's here for the big picture. So
that's why he's been brought in.
Exactly, and it was quite good script. It was quite good scripts writing and all that, because just different things and just talking to him like a toddler, just like, no, just say this. And I think it might have been either the first season, episode or second episode, where he's like, he literally has like notes and he's like taking down notes, like, okay, it's happening something, like, going to write it down. So,
as well,
and a timer and everything, yeah. So,
and I just think that scene was like so reminiscent of situations where someone wants to do something but doesn't outright ask for it. Like him being like, oh, perhaps you can come for the meeting. I really think that they might want you there. And I'm just like, out with it, you want me there. Like that's why I should be meeting. Yeah.
It's I mean, I think they discuss it in the second episode that the reason why, Tavernier thought she was going to get the job, right?
Yes.
But she pulled out when she kind of realized that things weren't going to go her way.
Yep.
And they've kind of brought this outsider guy as well. So there's that dynamic.
That's what he says, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that I haven't really watched the further episodes, so I really don't know. But that's kind of what's been shown to us. So I guess we'll have to take it like that. And
I agree.
Yeah, they're kind of like going back and forth. I think there's a little part of the kind of plot line where it's shown that Robert is part or was once one of them. Is that right, Chris?
Yes. That's in the
dead body or something.
Or dead body. Yeah.
Well, there's a very similar name that they used to have, Robert Winter, and then this guy was Robert Winters.
Well,
is that right?
Actually, let's get to that now. So what happens is the new secretary finds there's an actual Robert Winters that was part of their database. Who you mentioned, Ayisha, was like was a cold body. So
cold body. Sorry.
eventually, eventually they do some. We'll kind of get to that scene later on, but they do some magic where they've deleted his history. I think while she's on the phone with the new head of the dogs, we find out that was she shredding a passport? Was she kind of disposing of a passport or something while she was having that conversation? Because she was like, "Oh, it was a mistake. It was actually not Robert Winters. It was Robert Winter. So there's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about." But I think there'll be something there because eventually, when she has that conversation later on with what's his face, with Claude in the bus, he says that it was actually one of ours, but that can't get out because after Istanbul, which was
the previous series,
so it's like if you have a lot of agents going rogue, then the Secret Service will be under even more scrutiny and investigation. So just really good acting from Kirsten Scott Thomas. I always struggle with that name, and we'll see how that.
Bruce, what do you know from the books about this cold body situation?
This is a storyline I can't remember too much, but they mention the guy's passport coming through France, don't they? From France,
yeah,
yes.
Which will obviously France is going to come up again with River's storyline. So I think that is something to keep an eye on. Is basically how those two storylines kind of interconnect.
Speaking of River, should we talk about him and his grandfather?
Yeah.
So I think the two kind of women or kind of high level plot points are this bomber, and we've got the failed assassination of David Cartwright, who, as I remember from the previous seasons, is River's granddad, who is basically like his father.
Which is basically his father.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you guys first watched that scene, I think that was the end of episode 1. Did you guys actually think that River was dead?
I knew what was coming.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't have the joys like we have. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I when I first watched it, I thought there's no way he's dead. And then as time went on, I was like, actually, maybe he is dead. And then as time kept going on, I was like, actually, I would really like if he was dead. Because that would be a very brave move.
Stockholm syndrome from watching too much Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And actually, yes, exactly. I'm fresh off a rewatch, and and I thought that would be a really brave move, and actually that might be actually really, really interesting and fun. And then after a while, I was like, there's just no way he's dead. Like Lamb is acting very strange.
Yeah,
it's strange. I think it was Lamb's grief that made me go, he's not dead. And then I was like, okay, he's not dead. Then I found out he wasn't dead. But in the back of my head, I kind of knew what the next book was about from reading it. So some things, I mean, I didn't read the books, but I read like the synopsis or something. So I kind of remembered that perhaps maybe he wasn't dead, and I wasn't sure. But I think it was fantastic because he really did make you believe that he was dead.
And I think when I watched it,
if you had
when I watched it, because I watched it twice, and the first time I was like, this guy is actually be dead. Then I watched it again, the end of episode 1, and his voice was definitely not like it was just so off. I think once you watched it again, it's like kind of obviously runs up into the bathroom.
It's the language as well, isn't it? Like
it's the language. I think he calls him Gramps.
Gramps, which then David says is what made him do it.
Yeah, because initially, like his voice was a bit like off, so it kind of rose.
Yeah, the voice was off at the start, and I was like,
I did think really because it's still Jet Loudon in the role, but obviously, like maybe they've done some voice altering, or he's just using a slightly different accent. But it's good acting from him.
He's Scottish, isn't he?
He is, yeah. You wouldn't know it from watching the show.
No, you wouldn't. I mean, he's thinking Might as well be French as well because he's doing some good French. I think just like
really is he terrible
I don't think it's amazing French, but I'm trying to learn French, so I'm just like I think
comic.
I think acting in a different language is like one of the hardest things known to man. So allow him, give him some rope.
No, it was really funny in that scene because it was so like when you learn French in school and the first lessons, like he's trying to do all the steps, Duolingo. But he can't bring it together.
I think that's kind of like part of the.
We'll get actual. I don't speak English, so he has to have a go at it.
Yes, like bring it all the way back. But I think actually I probably haven't spoken about the plot. But like, what happens is someone who we think is River, obviously comes to his granddad's David's farmhouse, residence, and or tries to see him.
Kent, isn't it? I think where he lives.
Somewhere in Kent,
yeah, somewhere in Kent.
Bit of a drive from London, but I think because we spoke about it in the last episodes, where in the last season when we covered the show, where the plot point was he was kind of losing his memory a little bit, kind of getting a bit. I think dementia was kind of coming up. So there was that scene
he has to sit down with Louisa.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm still kind of like going back to season 3, where he was at that. He forgot he had removed himself from the membership of the club.
Yeah, he forgot he cancelled his membership, and he was phoning River, being like, "This guy won't let me in."
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that's kind of like where it first got fed to us about if this going to actually be getting a bit like dementia might be creeping up on him and everything. So when he comes back in this season, it's not really a surprise that River thinks he's like losing his mind or can't really remember much. He's getting all senile, getting dementia. So it's quite obviously it makes sense that it's always good to check on him and everything, right? So when it happens, it's just really well done in the sense that, well, okay, I'm gonna go check on my dad, especially after the conversation with Louisa. Where are they? So are they dating or are they just flirting or just seeing each other?
Louisa. Oh no, I think they're just friends. Him and Louisa. Is that what you
mean? Yeah, in the books it definitely doesn't go beyond them being friends. I guess purely because of all the stuff that keeps happening to the Slough House team.
Yeah. I see.
And she's still like grieving Min, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
I think the whole misdirect was with that scene of thinking, oh, they're finally going to admit their romantic relationship, and it was just about him looking for a safe space to talk about his granddad.
Yeah,
go have that safe space because like Min happens in season 2?
Yeah, it's quite early on in season 2.
It's quite early in season 2. Yeah,
and she spent a lot of time grieving.
But the interesting thing is how, and I was thinking this when I read the books later on, is because it feels like any character could die at any point. Because obviously we've already had 3 or 4 members of the Slough House team be killed.
Plus, like the Freddie Fox character as well died as well.
Oh yeah, he died later than he does in the book, but he did. So him. Oh, another House of the Dragon cast member.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. This show has a few.
Okay. I just want to say, just minor thing. He's doing a great job. He's like doing a completely different thing to what he does in Slow Horses. I think
he just acts. He can act the twat person, like the twat brat.
No, but
really
I don't think he's acting the twat brat in the House of the Dragon. I think he's going for a more, I would say, with more depth.
Yeah.
It's nice.
But
I guess so.
So Min, I'm trying to think. It was Min, him. What was Olivia Cook's character called? Sid?
I cannot remember.
Sid, and then the Scottish guy from The Thick of It. What's his name?
From The Thick of It.
Jamie in The Thick of It was in the first series of this. Did his character get killed as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. I haven't watched The Thick of It yet, but I think I know who you're about.
But yeah, so there's a few. And obviously the guy who was the head of the dogs, Duffy, as well.
Shanks from Layer Cake. I just have to put him out there as well. I don't know his name, but his head got blown to bits in season 1.
Yeah.
Love that film.
But yeah, so it's weird that you know River kind of feels like they can't kill him, but that anyone else is basically
Fair game.
up for
Everyone
grabs,
is fair
I guess.
game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but do you not think River is somewhat of a kind of anchor point for everything? Obviously, Lamb is, but
Yeah,
I feel like if second to Lamb is River,
and then Louisa and Ho and Catherine. I feel like those.
Is this a Dinah as well?
Nothing really. You'd not expect anything to happen to those characters, but anyone else who joins the team or is fair game.
They haven't really taken much. They haven't really taken many liberties.
I was just about to say that.
I think there was one huge difference. I think, Chris, you mentioned in the books, in the Russian plot, the Freddie Fox character dies then, doesn't he, in season 2?
Yeah, so in the scene where he still gets shot in the show, doesn't he?
But he still gets shot, but he doesn't die.
And then I was like, oh, they're going to keep him in the show for longer. And then no, like middle of the next series, he's killed. I don't know. That's really in terms of like character deaths and that's the main change from the books, really.
I think this is a rare occasion where I actually don't mind an adaptation.
It didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, an adaptation that is really, really truthful to the source material, but still does it really well.
It's a very cinematic source material, or reading it, you can picture all the characters, and it feels like, I don't know how involved Mick Herron is with the show, but all the characters, or most of them,
involved.
Like when I'm reading it, I'm picturing, Jet Loudon is who I'm seeing as River, and Gary Oldman as, especially Gary Oldman and Kristen Scott Thomas. I think those two are like absolutely spot on. And the rest of it's great as well. But and I think the books, I may have said this when I was on before, but I think the storylines and plots keep getting better. They might get more implausible, but there's a way he writes them that's just really compelling, and he kind of feels like he's never running out of ideas, and it's just exciting.
It's a rare case.
Yeah, I mean, Apple TV just they just have too much money, so they just throw him money on a lot of things and creating some really good shows.
They've said they're going to pump less money into drama, so hopefully Slow Horses isn't affected by that. I don't think this is the show it would be, though. I think it's something like bigger budget, maybe like a Silo or
Well, Severance is at Apple TV as well.
That is, yeah. So I feel like
Severance is also Apple TV.
Bigger budget shows and their movies will have more of a hit.
I'm all about directors, producers, auteurs asking for as much money as possible, but was it 20 million an episode for Severance? And I'm like,
is it that much? Jeez.
Yeah, that's what was reported. I'm not sure who leaked that information out, but
is that all on Ben Stiller?
It probably is. It probably is, and it's why is it being 20 million?
I guess they have quite a big they've got Walken in there, haven't they?
I guess
see
so.
Why that show would cost a lot, but then the morning show must as well, because they've got Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and John Hamm, and the budget for the cast of that show must be huge. Must be huge.
No,
that's probably where the majority of budget is going to, isn't it?
Yeah.
There ain't no dragons in the morning show.
They also market really strangely. They market the morning show, I think, the most.
I think their marketing is bad for the most part.
I was going to say, at least they market the morning show.
Because
the morning show is their Hail Mary.
It's their flagship, isn't it? Yeah. I think that and Slow Horses,
Ted Lasso, isn't it?
Ted Lasso, they're the shows they promote the most. But their films and their smaller shows like Sugar, Silo, they don't promote any of these shows. And Presumed Innocent, they have so many shows coming out.
I haven't watched that yet, actually.
Presumed Innocent was good. I mean, I've seen a bit of it.
That's really, really good. Yeah,
Presumed was good.
But they promote your shows.
They ran into this issue with Hijack where they didn't promote Hijack, but then Hijack caught on with popular culture, and then they regressed not promoting Hijack. And it's just you promote the morning show, and no offense, the morning show is crap. So why promote your actual good
crap?
shows?
It's actually it is crap. It is crap.
It is pretty crap.
Natalie Portman one as well that's just out. And I'd forgotten it was out until the reviews were dropping. And it was
Lady in the Lake? Is that
it was 5 stars in the Guardian. I was like, you've got a show with one of the biggest actresses in the world.
Yeah.
And you are not promoting it at all, it's nuts.
I hate how everyone just stopped talking about Me December, because that was one of the really, really
that was good as well. That was one of my favourite films from
Oscars
last year.
No thanks.
No Julianne Moore
No.
by Natalie Portman. You've both won Oscars before, so we're not interested
No,
in you.
thank you. Academy
And
Awards, like, well, no.
Charles Melton, did
same-
he even
same
Charles
Yes,
Melton,
right.
yeah. He got
He
nominated,
was
but that was
so
it.
good. He
Did
was
he
so
get
good in
nominated?
it. I don't even think he did in the end, you know.
And he was supposed to
No,
be
he
like a
didn't get
favourite
nominated.
And he was like favourite to win it for
Which
ages,
now-
and
for
then
ages, and it's just like, what?
Downey Jr. came and stole his award.
That's just that's
with a good speech at least.
But like, yeah, let's get
nothing
back
for
to
Charles Melton. RIP.
let's get back to
Is that a great segue from Robert Downey Jr. into Slow Horses? I think this is testing my podcasting skills.
I was literally about to say, let's just get back to Cartwright. I was trying to rhyme. I was trying to think of like a little connection between Iron Man and Cartwright, but I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't think of anything that
maybe
creative.
Jonathan Pryce is probably a link.
Yes.
J. Pryce.
Well, he was in Pirates of the Caribbean, Disney franchise. There you go.
He was in them.
Yeah.
As well. No, I can't. that was going to be so bad.
But I'm glad.
Something like, just like
gone.
Iron Man, River was always chasing chaos.
Cheating death.
Yeah, like that. Cheating death.
Cheating death. There we go.
Because I don't know, River has this kind of invincible attitude to him that borders on pure idiocy. Because
he thinks it's the Jon Snow thing. He thinks he's like Superman, and he just kind of dives headfirst into things, and it's like
puts himself into danger before thinking about how he'll get out of the mess he's in.
And he's obsessed with his own heroism. He wants to be the hero all the time.
I think Lamb actually says it's where it's like let him go save the day. If he wants help, he'll call us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think by the end of episode 1, we think that Cartwright is dead. But when he gets to episode 2, we figure out that someone actually was sent over from France.
Yep.
Levande? Was it Levande?
Lavande. Yeah,
Lavande. There we go.
Les Arbres is the place where
Les Arbres is the place.
This Francophone energy coming up in here.
Elrond is living.
Lavande.
Mr. Smith.
Lavande.
Agent Smith.
But
Elrond.
Yeah. I mean, Hugo Weaving, man. We'll get to him. But like, but eventually River puts his grandfather into Standish's house and goes off to France and tracks down, well, after a lovely interaction at a coffee shop, as Ayisha has mentioned, doesn't even drink his drink. Kind of goes to like this huge house in the woods and tries, I think he pieces up together just a lot of guns in the house, a lot of guns around the house, bullet shells. So obviously it's not like it's not like the normal house you'd find anywhere. So he sees this photo of this Robert Winters. It was a group of 4 people, and we see a photo of Hugo Weaving as well. And eventually, the house is set on fire and is attacked by this Hugo Weaving character who we don't really know his name yet or his motivations or anything.
Yes.
But eventually, he's saved by some dude who we don't know who he is yet, but he was tracking him down from the coffee shop. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, there's still a lot of... Which is kind of why I like doing these 2 episodes in, because I felt like these 2 kind of gave us, because I think the first episode ended on a kind of, not cliffhanger, but kind of cliffhanger. And this has just given us a bit more information. It's like, okay, he's not actually dead, but there's...
Not the full picture.
Not the full picture, but just enough information to keep us engaged. So what did you guys think of like the entire French scene?
Yes. It's slightly different because I think we were talking about so much of the show is set in the UK. Because I think in the last series only the Istanbul
Apple TV budget, man. That's what it is.
Yeah, so it's nice to go slightly out of the UK. By about an hour. But yeah, it's good, and also like River on his own as well. So like he's having to kind of fend for himself and doesn't have any backup, and no one knows where he is or what he's doing. So he's completely isolated.
Well, didn't Cartwright think? I think it was season 2 as well. Cartwright thought was going to go to Estonia or something to track down that the Russian spy.
Oh, and he goes to like,
and he's like, "Am I going to Estonia?" Then and Lamb's like, you're not going to fucking Estonia, you're going to Offshots, and it was just like started laughing at him.
That was
It was
really
really really hilarious scene. But he's out of the country, he's got his passport or a passport with him. So we'll see how that develops. Lamb, let's get to Lamb because he was throwing heaters these 2 episodes as he normally does. He's been asked to, obviously we kind of followed both storylines through Lamb because we're kind of finding out new pieces of information through Lamb in the sense that we get to the bomb site and it's our suicide bomber, and then we get to the Cartwright residence and it's is he dead? Oh, is he actually dead? He's investigating. He's actually not investigating. He's looking for is it Alka-Seltzer for his hangover or something. So he's just not looking at the scene, but looking. I think my favorite quote was when he was. Well, they say the attacker was. Oh, he looked like River. They looked at him because his face has been shot off. It's like, well, it doesn't look like River anymore, does he? So I really like that kind of and we kind of meet the new head of the dogs, who's
Emma Flyte.
Emma Flyte, and
yes,
who's taken over from Duffy from the last season, who died in the big shootout. And she was, I think it was mentioned in another scene that she was actually Tavernier's choice. But
she's ex-Met or something, isn't she, as well? So she's got a slightly different background to Duffy.
Duffy, yeah. But I think she mentioned something about how she was her choice, but it was her terms or something along those lines. And I was wondering what that meant in the sense of, does she have like remit to, outside Tavernier? She probably still works for her, or she kind of reports to somebody else or something. So I was quite confused about that part, but I guess we'll see. What do you guys make of
They'll explain it.
No, but explain it. Yeah. What do you guys think of new head of the dogs, Emma?
She seems very. I think it's very much of a contrast from Duffy for sure, but I also think it's using a different skill as your strength. I think Emma disarms people because she's like good looking and female, and Duffy was outright aggressive, so people thought, okay, I'm not gonna fuck with this guy.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Emma, it's like you think that she isn't touching on, or you think that she's, she doesn't have the wherewithal, but actually that's her way of disarming you to get what she wants, I feel. So
yeah,
I'm interested to see what she will do in the future and how she'll play up, because I feel like she could be a major part in this. Yeah.
Because that character, or the head of the dogs, we're not supposed to, well, at least so far, we're not supposed to like that character. That character is supposed to be foil for the slow horses, right? So, but I mean, the way they're positioning this character, like even Chris, help me out here. We're not supposed to like, or so far, we're not really supposed to like the dogs, right? And obviously, she's like Ayisha has mentioned that she's kind of not kind of our expectations on kind of what the head of the dog should be like.
No.
But I mean, so far, what they've presented. Like she's kind of like at odds with Tavernier a little bit. Especially, I think there was a point in time in the episode where, while she was guarding, or while she had that secretary, I forgot her name, is it Geety?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, in the house, while she was just like, isolated her for a little bit after she found out information about Robert Winters. I think she says like, oh, she's not a.
She's like, I'm not a babysitter or something like that. Or there's more to me than. And also, she wanted to be involved in the investigation into the bombing as well.
Yeah.
But she was sent to Cartwright because I think she asks Tavernier, doesn't she? She's like, shouldn't I be doing something on this bombing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can tell that it's not the friendliest of relationship. Whereas I think Duffy kind of just did what he was told.
Did what I was told, yeah. And she's a bit
but
more
obviously
like,
he enjoyed.
Abrasive. She's a bit more abrasive.
He enjoyed the bullying element of things, but he like because she left him to do whatever. Whereas Emma's more like, let me do what I can do. I mean, it's a really interesting. I'm not going to spoil anything, but like her development and relationship with some of the characters is really interesting in the books. So I think it.
Yeah, I can already see the setup for that.
Goes against the relationship they had with Duffy, but also she has far more development than Duffy, because I feel like Duffy until season 3 was more like a side character, and then came more into his own in the last series.
Bigger
he was activated.
Because obviously his relationship with Marcus was quite important at the end there. Whereas Emma, I think, has a more prominent role, and she in the next however many books, 4 or 5, whatever.
Yeah. I like it. I like the kind of, although even though there's a sort of conflicted relationship with Taverner, I think that Taverner seems to trust Emma. And I think that's probably why she's on the Cartwright case, because I don't think she would put anyone on the case that she didn't trust.
No, especially because David Cartwright's like a service legend.
Yeah.
I'd also add, it's really nice to see Jonathan Pryce given a bigger role this series as well. Because
he was doing some phenomenal acting, wasn't he?
In series 3 in particular, I was kind of like, oh, he's not been in it much. Like, he pops up a bit in 1 and 2. Obviously, 2, they add a bit where he kills the guy who comes up to his house.
The Russian guy, yeah.
And then in this series, like, he's front and center of everything that's going on in these 2 episodes.
One of the main plots, isn't it?
Yeah, can we talk about him, actually? Because I have some thoughts.
Oh, fire away.
Thoughts away.
I feel like part of his I don't remember is a bit of pretense.
Lamb says that, doesn't he?
I was going to ask that.
No, I believe Lamb. I believe Lamb because it's strange. Like there's something really weird about him. The scene when he was lying down on Stanish's bed and was proclaiming that he didn't know anything and yada yada. I don't know. There's something about it strange, and there's just no way he doesn't know anything. Or like,
do you feel like he's buying like River some time or something?
Could be.
I don't know. I just feel like in the past he's also been kind of secretive about certain things for reasons that only become known later on. And he's always been somewhat of like a sleeper agent in his behavior. He's always kind of, acts like he doesn't know anything. All of a sudden, he knows and he's ready with a gun, to save himself or to protect himself. I don't know. There's something about it, and I feel like it might have to do with the fact that maybe there are ties to this person that he probably doesn't want to reveal to River, or maybe he thinks not saying at the time will be useful, or I don't know. I just think there's something. It's not complete for me.
You've not far off, I think. Obviously, having read it and knowing what happens, I think watch and see.
It's so entertaining for you, Chris. You just being like, you just see it being like, oh yeah. Like,
it's the worst thing because
they don't know anything. I know everything.
No, it's the same with not so also, but when June Part 2 came out, I had some friend being like, wait till you see who the real villain is in June Part 2, and I was kind of like, I've read it, but also it's been out 60 years, but also like. Don't spoiler bait people. It's like people when they'd read Game of Thrones when the show hadn't caught up to the books, being like, aha, and then obviously look how that turned out. But this is really faithful. So I'm hoping that they stick quite close in this story arc. But David Cartwright's
so funny if like they just kind of go against the books. Just
like, David Cartwright's one of the most interesting characters.
I was going to say, yeah.
And the most recent book, which is not a main Slow Horses book, but it's like a Cold War spin-off prequel book. But like you see a bit of him when he was younger, and a bit of Lamb when they were younger as well. It's like 90s.
Wait, is the
Berlin.
new show not about Lamb when he was younger?
So the new show. We talked about this slightly before we recorded, but there's another Apple TV Mick Herron show coming out based on an earlier series of books about like an Oxford private investigator, and it's going to have Emma Thompson and Ruth Wilson in it.
Okay, so
I think it's called Down Cemetery Road.
Maybe I just want that so badly.
But they could adapt it, but also like who'd you cast instead of Gary Oldman? Or would you just de-age Gary Oldman? I don't know.
No, yeah.
I feel like Josh O'Connell should be about, isn't it? Josh O'Connor should be about.
Josh O'Connor. Ooh.
Josh O'Connor as the Gary Oldman.
Do they look similar?
Younger guy, yeah.
I don't.
I mean, he's got great range, Josh O'Connor.
Does have good range, yeah.
He's quite sleazy in La Chimera.
Mm-hmm.
He looks quite scruffy, so I could see it.
Yeah, he does look really scruffy in that Chimera.
But I feel like,
but a different type of scruffy though, an entirely
Yeah, it's
different
more
type of
like
scruffy.
cool scruffy.
but I don't feel like
Yeah.
Lamb was always scruffy though. I don't feel like he was
No,
always scruffy. So they could
well,
that could be
actually,
like an angle like he was
in
like a
this, he
really
was
fit.
in the 90s. He was still like farting and holes in his socks and everything. Even when he was in his like 30s or 40s.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. That's a good point about like, is he actually messing about in terms? Because Lamb actually says that this guy's full of shit, and he was one that trained me, so I know all his tricks, and he's definitely not this thing. He's definitely not being genuine there. So
Yeah, I believe Lamb. And I
yeah,
just
so
think it's David is super fascinating to me as a
yeah,
character, and I think he's just way too smart for all of this, for
it's
this to be the case.
it's
And
a
I
good
just
shout
think,
because there's another scene where a French guy comes back to his house and inquires with the policeman over there.
That
I've seen
scene
that
was
police guy
quite.
somewhere. I think he was in I've
that
forgotten
was
the actor's
so
name.
funny.
He was
That
in
scene was
Also,
funny.
mhm.
I was just like, suspicious much? Go on.
No, it's because the guy was like, "Oh, my landlady said there was a shooting. The old guy got shot."
Yes. Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh no, it was it was the guy's grandson."
So it's like, well, that just
Yeah.
confirms that he's still alive. So he kind of calls somebody and says that, oh, he's still alive. And there's the other guy we have to go shoot the other old man. So which I'm guessing it's supposed to be Lamb. I mean, which other old man is...
Or David Cartwright again, I guess.
No, it says like there's another person that they have
another
to go for this
person.
job. Yeah, so...
Yeah, well, they might be thinking of River, mightn't they, as well? Because they're like, because then it cuts to he's on the phone to Hugo Weaving's character, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Well, we're not sure, but I think so. Yeah.
If it's Cartwright Jr., he's going to come here. Just obviously what happens.
Yeah.
And then the old guy. Yeah, it could be Lamb and Cartwright Senior.
Yeah,
because obviously they used to work together.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
back in the day,
yeah, we kind of go back to Lamb.
I don't know if it is Lamb because.
But like, which other old man do we care about?
I don't know.
In the show, so I'm guessing so, but I guess we'll see. It kind of leads back to France and Paris, or France, I guess, not Paris, because when we meet the new cleaner for Slough House,
Terry Cavally from The Thick of It as well.
Yes.
And because she's
she's so good.
Because she's been sent down from superiors to specifically work at Slough House, but Lamb literally takes her back. Well, tells her to never, because she cleaned his rooms like just.
It's more like he's like, you did a great job cleaning my office, but don't do it again.
Don't do it again. It's like you fucked the entire thing up.
She's called Moira.
Moira, yeah.
Moira.
We actually don't hear her name, do we?
As soon as someone does too good of
Moira
a job.
Gregorian. Oh, that's who she's playing. I think they say she's called Moira, maybe.
Yeah, just there, like a little line here.
But this is sometimes the problem with the show is that there's obviously some new characters because it's her, and then I don't know if you know JK.
JK,
who's like always got headphones in and a hoodie.
He has like a big fuck in episode 1. I was like, whoa, that literally was like, oh, okay, I'm awake right now. I wasn't expecting that at all. But
you're talking about Moira?
Yeah, he instructs her.
Yeah.
He instructs her back to her basically superior back at the circus to literally find out any information that Cartwright was doing in France. And that's kind of like where the Lamb story ends for the next last episode. So I guess we'll see
what he's up to.
Yeah, very interesting because it's like this completely new element of like there's a French story. There's some characters. There's Hugo Weaving. There was still, I think when Hugo Weaving just talks, it's kind of like, yeah, this guy is like the wisest guy in the room. So I'm excited to see him have a bigger part in this season. I'm always I always like when guest actors or actresses can just come in for a season and just kind of do their thing for like 6, 7, 8 episodes and just dip. Line of Duty used to do that really, really well until
that's true. Yeah, they'd always bring in like Keeley Hawes or whoever. And they'd always have the guest detective, Lenny James.
Lenny James, that's what I was about to say. Lenny Henry, but that's a different. That's a different.
Well, Lenny Henry was a guest in Broadchurch, wasn't he, for one of the series?
Lenny Henry is the red-nosed guy.
I haven't watched, but I really want to.
Broadchurch.
Yeah.
Oh,
you haven't watched Broadchurch?
No, I mean, series 2 and 3 weren't great, but series 1 is still good. Some
unbelievable TV. Season 1 is like on.
It's up there, isn't it? Unbelievably good.
Way up there. Line of Duty. What happened to Line? Is that still going on? Or are they just like?
They've talked about being like, let's give it another go, but like the way they did the last series, it was like it felt quite final season-y.
Really? I was expecting one more season. Last season felt quite rushed, and it was like, well, I'm not really having fun anymore. Taking back to season 3, Line of Duty, because that was unbelievable.
Series 3 and 4, peak TV.
Peak TV. I think it kind of ended with the other dogs. They didn't really have much about in these first 2 episodes. Not the dogs. Sorry, the rest of the Slough House members. Obviously,
not too much.
Louisa gets, aside from her like dinner with or drinks with River, Louisa gets very little to do, and also Marcus and Shirley, they pop up.
I guess they have their big conversation about how if you're
gambling again,
or how you would survive waterboarding.
Yeah, I did ask that question because it's like just it's a normal day, just having fun, just waterboarding your mates, and it's like
I did get confused by that. I was like, water? It's Marcus's voice? What's going on here? And then they were like, oh, okay, it's him and Shirley.
Misdirect.
I mean, it wasn't even surprising though. Like they're just playing about just waterboarding.
They have a lovely friendship. It's nice.
Yeah, I was going to say the two of them are fantastic together.
Yeah,
it's very authentic to like their career, their line of work. Of course, that's what you would be doing in that line of work.
You've got to find a way to pass time, don't you? Make a mess of things.
Yeah.
He says he's gambling because he says it's like his housing bill is 10 grand for the month.
Yeah, I think he's in a vicious circle.
And I'm like,
he's lost money.
Where the hell
can't pay?
Right.
And now he's gambling again to pay.
Well, also probably debt from his gambling addiction before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's in just like a.
His wife doesn't know about it, and then he's got to keep gambling to try and pay off the existing gambling debt. It's realistic though, like that's something that would happen, and it's quite interesting that they sort of paired the two ex-addicts up together as well, because obviously she was a coke addict.
Kinfolk.
And what did he say? Like relapsing is like sign of progress, isn't it?
Yeah, that was hilarious. It's like all the lies you tell yourself.
I was like, preach, Marcus. Like, yeah, go on, man. Whatever you say. But
that was funny. I was seeing the woman in the wheelchair that lives in where the documents are kept.
Yeah, because she was looking. That's why I asked. Yeah, I've forgotten her name.
Isn't she called Molly?
Yeah, something like that. Glasses.
Molly is my favorite character.
Molly Duran.
Yeah, good.
Molly's my favorite character.
Good pickup because like while they were putting the passport for Robert Winters through whatever that machine is, either a scanner or a shredder or something. They literally cut to her face, didn't they? Kind of with like she didn't really approve of what they were doing. So I kind of thought they probably scrubbing this guy's documents, which we eventually find out after. But yeah, that's Tavernier just being Tavernier, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Also, she kind of has clawed up through the barrel, doesn't she? Because she's made Claude sign the documents saying that basically he knew about Robert Winters and he's literally part of a cover-up or something. So
I love the line when she says you're so concerned with your own self-image or something, or self-proclamation or something like that.
I mean, they were doing some great acting.
And self-flagellation.
Self-flagellation, yeah. Great acting from them too.
Self-words, but I like that.
She's a great character as well.
She has a very good way of kind of cutting you down in a way that it's like people that have such good insults that you only realize how deeply insulted you were when you're like on the car ride back home. And you're like, oh wow, that was actually awful. Yeah.
And was she at like? What was the first time I saw? I think I saw her. Was it Death at a Funeral or something?
Oh, the actress who plays Molly.
No, Kirsten Scott Thomas, or was that someone else?
Scott Thomas.
Might be someone else actually, but I think she can do like comedy pretty well as well.
She's in 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
4 Weddings and a Funeral.
What you're thinking of?
That's like
her breakout role, and she's very briefly in the first Mission Impossible film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And The English Patient. So the 90s, she had a massive run of like big blockbuster films.
Mm. I keep forgetting she was in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. My goodness, her range.
I have to fire that up tonight to rewatch that.
She's so good in that as well.
After I rewatch episode 3 and 4, to be fair. But yeah, is there anything else we need to cover? I think we've covered quite a lot. Covered everything.
What are your expectations for what happens next? I mean, obviously Chris might know. But...
Yeah, don't ask us. Asking Chris might be cheating.
I think Chris's position was very fun at the moment. He just gets look at us.
Because he has to say enough, but not say too much to spoil for us or the listeners. What do I think? I think River speaks more French, hopefully. That's what I want.
Goodness me, hopefully he improves. It's even worse than Duolingo, I swear.
Oh my god. I don't think it was...
It's like nursery school French.
Listen, I'm not a French speaker, right? But I didn't think it was bad, so stop hating. Thank you very much.
It was very much like...
It's definitely an English speaker who's speaking French who hasn't spoken in a while.
No, it wasn't even. It was very much like someone who learned French in school but never paid attention because he can't conjugate. That's the problem. He's saying a lot of things that make sense on their own, but together don't make sense.
I guess so. Well, River speaks more French. Well, eventually, I think we eventually find put a couple more bits of the puzzle together. Did he pocket that photo with Winters, or did he just leave it there?
He might have pocketed it.
He might have pocketed it. I'm not sure.
Why do you think they set fire to the house?
Just to get rid of everything. Who set the fire to that? I think it's more because they've obviously had some things going on there, like operations.
A lot of guns in there, so
it's meant to be quite secretive and off books, and then the fact someone's discovered it because they don't know that he's not in contact with other people, and they don't know that there's not like a big park team on the way or whatever. I think it's more like covering their tracks. Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe there's something else.
But then also, like, the guy who kidnapped him at the end, like, is there something going on there? Like, yeah.
Well, because he saved him, then knocked him out, didn't he? I was like,
he was like, thank you, bang.
that was good stuff.
You can't see where they're going properly.
You can't.
I'd like to know what Lamb did in France that literally has his people try to kill him. That would be quite interesting.
I don't know if it was more Lamb. I think it was more David.
Not Lamb, Cartwright. Sorry, my bad.
David Cartwright. Yeah.
It's,
I would like to see what Cartwright did, but he seems so grey.
Yeah, but like he was the one that Standish's partner. Literally, they were the ones that
Charles,
yeah, that literally killed him and made it look like suicide. So he's definitely not above getting his hands dirty, really dirty. So.
And that was an interesting one because in the books they never tell you that Lamb killed Charles. Like he knows about what happened to him, but they never say like, "Oh, David and I killed your old boss." And in the show, in the first, was that in series 1 or 2?
2. No, last series, which was 2. Was last series 2 or 3?
3. I think. Well, they already told us. I think it was end of 1 or 2. Yeah,
I think it's end of 1. Yeah,
and they show you.
Yeah, but is that when Standish finds out?
Oh no, sorry, I meant when they show you that Lamb did it.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Because obviously
Standish still hasn't found out though, because he told her a lie, didn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't tell her that.
But obviously Diana was trying to feed to her.
He didn't tell her that he killed him.
No, I don't know. Not that he killed him, but I think he told her that
selling secrets
things are not what
they seem. Yeah.
What they seem. Yeah.
But yeah, in the books they still haven't said outright. I think, or they have like very recently. You know, it comes out a lot later. But again, it doesn't bother me too much. It's better to know because obviously you might not get to that point. If like obviously like they might not get to adapt all the books, so it makes sense. That
listen, man. Look, we're going to send out a petition to Apple TV to adapt
forever and ever and ever.
Adapt
as
all
long
the books,
as he
please.
keeps,
this is never ending.
As long as he writes books, short stories, spin-offs, whatever, do all of them.
It's still material.
It's that's all
I think it's good. I think it's good to know because I think knowing that we're getting here, it's epic setup for this season.
Yeah,
especially if Lamb is involved. It's good to know that he was involved.
Speaking of our setups, we even speak about obviously every time we talk about Slow Horses, we obviously need to shout out Mick Jagger for the theme song. It came on. Yes. It came in 14 minutes into.
It was well over 10 minutes in. Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, oh, okay, and then here comes Strange Game.
I love it when that. I think it happened in. I think The Departed was like 20 minutes or so into. I think The Dark Knight was pretty in as well. I like when film and TV do that kind of just
Dark Knight's opening is long because it's all that bank robbery, isn't it? And then
yeah,
and then him beating up the fake Batman.
The Departed was just like it was like, is this like what's going on here? Where's the credits?
Drive My Car, the Hamaguchi film. I think the credits for that are 40 minutes in.
40.
I haven't seen it. Shame on me because obviously it won lots.
Shame on me as well. To be fair.
But I've read in a few places that the credits came in 40 minutes in.
That's
it's a 3-hour film, to be fair. So
I was going to say it's quite long. Is that a mistake? Honestly, any type of art we'll appreciate here. But I think that's we can leave it there. Yeah, I think that was. I really enjoyed these next two. It's always good.
I just wanted to say that shot at the end of the last first episode, where you see the road and it does look like from afar an aerial shot, and it does just look like a strip or something. You're wondering what it is, and then it's actually river in the car in France. That was a very, very nice sequence. And
that's true. That's true. That was some good stuff.
So there's
cinematography.
That's all I wanted to say. And ending the episode like that was fantastic.
It's such a gorgeous looking show. Like you can tell that they put care and effort into it.
Yeah, and it's gone forever. McCarran, keep those books running, man. We'll lock him in your house. Just have some, whiskey. Cure that writer's.
This is block. A really curious thing to think about. How would you? I mean, I guess this is the concept of Glass Onion, but how would you someone that writes these sort of books, how do you kidnap them, without them knowing?
I mean, writers aren't, they probably want to be kidnapped anyway. So
they want to be kidnapped, but I mean, like, would you have to, would they not, since they write all this stuff, maybe they have, I'm not saying their knowledge is exactly accurate.
That's what the whiskey's for.
Wouldn't they catch on?
Dilute his senses.
That's what the whiskey's for. You just you stock the house with whiskey, so there's nothing they can do but just
drink. Is it like Misery? That's the whole plot of Misery, isn't it?
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
The crazy fan kidnaps.
That is freaky. Oh, that's such a scary ass film. And she won the Oscar, but
she's awesome in that.
She's great in that.
You couldn't one up an author kidnapping other than that because that is so good.
James Caan, man, what a legend. Yeah, so thanks a lot, guys, for listening to those Slow Horses episode 1 and 2, season 4. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And I think I forgot to mention at the start, we actually do have Industry, which is one of my top 5 TV shows right now. Thanks, Ayisha, for reminding me. How could I forget that? Yeah, guys, thanks a lot. That's the Slow Horses.